What do artists need to know about reporters?
That they're regular people, like the artists, like anybody who's out there with a purpose. They have a purpose in mind, and in the encounter with the artist, their purpose is largely to get a story, and the artist can provide that story. You can provide the storyline. The reporter's basic interest is going to be in whether the story is something that he or she can write. The questions they're going to ask themselves is who cares and so what. And if the artist has a good answer for those and a good story or several storylines to offer, then it's going to go much better. The one important thing is to like reporters. I mean, they're not bad people, and if you don't personally have time to cultivate them or to or a fondness for them, then get somebody on your team who does. Who's going to build the rapport and be able to understand what their goals are and why they're asking what they're asking, and that they really do need that special angle for their picture and that kind of stuff, who can help them get their story. You make it easy for a reporter to get a story, you're going to get a much better story about yourself. You can also think about what your art lends itself to. If it's a process story, people love to hear about the process of building, the process of solving problems, that kind of stuff. I remember once when the National Geographic decided to do a story on a whole show on the panda. They realized that pandas basically just sit on their rumps and eat bamboo, which is not really compelling television. So what they did was a program on Chinese scientific efforts to save the panda. And it was that story, as opposed to the panda per se, that became the subject of the film. So think about your art, think about what kind of stories it might reveal, think about the gee whiz aspects, have some of those numbers on hand, and even have some of the archival pictures that you might have that show the building process or the original planning and that kind of stuff. Make the reporter's life easy and you'll do a lot better.
So, Tom, are there do's and don'ts about being interviewed?
Yeah, you're going to want to have 2 or 3 basic points that you're making, or talking points they're called, but 2 or 3 things that you want to say, because that's really all the time you're going to have anyway. And if it's a radio interview or a television interview, it's going to be even fewer than that. So you want to be very succinct, and you can practice your answers and make sure that they're not going to be overly long or difficult to quote. Don't speak in jargon. Burning Man has a unique set of terms. If you're not explaining them or they're not self-evident, then they're probably going to confuse everybody, and they may be misunderstood by the reporter. And remember, the reporter may be a newbie, may be completely new to the burn, and may therefore need a little bit of explanation about what's being said to him. Listen to each question. People tend to over-rehearse their answers, and then they're not listening to the actual question. They're thinking, what am I going to say next, and that kind of thing. You can relax into the conversation, but while you're doing that, you also want to be careful not to regard the reporter as a confidant or as a friend. The reporter's mission in life is to get you to relax and to reveal yourself. You have to be a little bit careful in how you're phrasing things, because you're going to be seen as a Burning Man artist, not just as an individual artist. So you have to be cognizant of what you're saying. In that regard, make sure up front when you talk to the reporter that you're saying, I'm speaking for myself as an individual artist. I'm not speaking for the organization. I'm not speaking for the event. You can't expect them to know that, and you do have to make that clear. You want to respond immediately to a reporter's inquiry. If you have any interest, any nibbles from a reporter, stop what you're doing, take care of them, because they may not be back, or they'll stumble on another story. They'll meet their obligations for the day and then go have fun. So if you want to be the subject of the story, if you want some coverage, make sure that you're giving the reporter what they need when they need it. Let's see. Stop talking when you've answered the question, something that I could be doing right now, as a matter of fact. But a reporter's technique often is to continue to listen, and then somebody's going to break the silence, and usually it's the subject of the interview who feels a little uncomfortable and continues to talk. So when you've answered the question, stop talking. Similarly, you don't necessarily have to answer the question that's been asked. You can begin to answer it and pivot your way into some point you'd like to make, and about the people, about the team, that kind of thing. So there's lots of ways. Practice being interviewed. Talk to some people and ask them just to role play with you a little bit so that you get comfortable with it. And that's about it.